For generations, the historical record of the Vedic period relied on a single source of evidence: ancient Sanskrit hymns. Our understanding of this era between 1500 and 500 BCE was framed almost entirely through these ritual texts. Modern archaeogenetics has provided a more complex physical record. In 2019, scientists analyzed DNA from skeletal remains at the Rocky Gari site, offering a biological perspective on the people of this era that the texts couldn't provide. The data revealed a massive demographic shift. Descendants of the Indus Valley civilization mingled with pastoralist groups migrating southward from the Eurasian steppe. This migration route brought more than new families. It introduced Indo-Aryan languages and the widespread use of horses to the subcontinent. This suggests the Vedic civilization wasn't an isolated event, but the direct result of a biological and cultural collision between two distinct populations. These early communities established themselves in the Sapta Sindhu, the region of the Seven Rivers, covering modern Punjab and Haryana. They were mobile pastoralists who saw the world through the lens of livestock. Their primary measure of wealth was not the land they stood on, but the cows they owned, a concept they called ghadana. Because their wealth was mobile, their social structures remained flexible. Tribes called janas were led by a rajan, but his power was checked by assemblies like the Sabha and Samiti, where women were active participants. Since survival depended on the health of the herd rather than fixed territory, social roles were defined by the work people performed rather than the family they were born into. The Rig Veda describes a massive, life-giving river called the Saraswati, yet for centuries, historians could find no physical trace of it on a modern map. Satellite imagery from ISRO eventually identified a massive paleo-channel beneath the sands of Haryana and Rajasthan. This was the ancient Gagar-Hakra system, the geological reality behind the Vedic hymns. A combination of shifting tectonic plates and a prolonged drought cut the river off from its glacial sources, causing the life-giving waterway to gradually disappear. As their ancestral home turned to dust, the Vedic tribes were forced into a migration eastward toward the rainfall and resources of the Gangetic Plains. The move east brought them to the Ganga-Yamuna Doab, a region then covered in dense, impenetrable jungles that their old tools simply couldn't clear. Their solution was a material the texts call Krishna Ayas, or the black metal. It was iron, and it changed the way they interacted with the environment. Archaeological sites from the painted grayware culture confirm that by roughly 1000 BCE, iron technology had become widespread across these new eastern settlements. Heavy iron axes allowed them to clear the ancient forests, while iron plowshares enabled deep soil farming, making large-scale agriculture possible for the first time. This technology transformed the Vedic people from wandering herders into settled farmers, anchoring their society to specific plots of land. Once the population was anchored to specific agricultural land, that land became a territory that had to be defended and managed. The small, fluid janas grew into massive kingdoms. As the land produced more wealth, the power of the kings who controlled it became absolute. To manage this new territorial wealth, the once flexible society reorganized into the four-tiered Varna system, which eventually locked social roles into a rigid hierarchy based on birth. This shift toward permanent property and lineage also restricted the status of women, as society became increasingly focused on controlling inheritance and land ownership. The iron tools that cleared the forest created an agricultural surplus, and that surplus provided the economic foundation for the concentrated power and social rigidity of the later period. In these wealthy kingdoms, religion became a matter of complex rituals and animal sacrifices, called yajnas, which were increasingly restricted to the ruling and priestly classes. By 600 BCE, an intellectual rebellion took root. Thinkers began to question this ritual control, leading to the composition of the Upanishads. They shifted the focus from outward fire rituals to inward meditation, prioritizing the concepts of karma and the individual soul, or Atman. These ideas challenged the existing power structures and created the philosophical base for the emergence of Jainism and Buddhism. The migration from the drying rivers of the north to the iron-cleared forests of the east transformed the subcontinent from a collection of tribes into a landscape of empires and new faiths.